Hi, Katrina.
Hi. This is a great place to meet each other.
That's exactly what I was going to say. Did you ever imagine that the first time we're going to sit across each other and talk about each other's lives, it's going to be recorded?
No, I think next time someone asks me that, I will realize that it's potentially can be very difficult, but I think it's a good place to get to know someone, I guess, on camera. Sure.
Yeah. Should we start?
I think so.
We should play the...
Are you going first?
We actually have
Should
to
we
just
do it
press the
together?
play
All right.
button. Yeah. Okay.
Katrina Kaif and Vicky Kaushal, welcome to Tapecast. You've both had a fascinating journey to stardom, and we look forward to discovering the route to your drive and motivation. Vicky, will you pick the first question?
Sure. I will start with family.
Your sister Isabel is also joining films. What advice would you give her as learnings from your past mistakes?
Mistakes! I just got that. Mistakes! So I think what I felt in the beginning that I was trying to do with her was kind of make her do everything that I had done. And I was trying to kind of advise her almost very similarly into all the things and all the routes that I had kind of taken in my life, and thinking that, okay, this is, I don't even think I did it consciously, it just was happening.
The similar plan.
And then a similar plan, thinking, okay, this is the way, this is the kind of way that I know, and this is the way that, I think will work for her to be successful. And then now she's been here for about, I think, 8 or 9 months. The best thing I can do for her as a sister is allow her to discover her own voice and allow her to discover who she is, rather than trying to make her into, a person who I think, works for this industry or for any industry. Authenticity is always what works.
Always. She's shooting for a film right now?
No, she's just about completed a film, which she's...
She's already...
yeah, she's kind of just about in completion for a film she's done.
Wow.
So.
Best wishes to her.
Thank you. Okay, so now I'm picking a question for you.
The general consensus seems to be that what works in your favor is your boy next door vibe, that you're approachable, reachable, and attainable. But as you become more successful, how do you continue to be these things?
I guess by not taking success to your head, to let that be a sinking feeling than a feeling that you get comfortable with. To be very honest, I know I've been able to be part of good films and films that have made me reach out to a wider audience. I still go to cafes and malls and restaurants and do the same things that I used to do a year back. So, and it's also, sometimes you have to realize that all they want also is just a couple of seconds from your life. All they ask for is a selfie. All they do is pay a compliment to you. That's all they do. And I guess I'll just lose myself if I lose all those things. Just that relatability, because that also I feel is an asset to me as an actor. You really need to have people around you who really kind of firstly know you for who you are, not the actor or not the professional side of you, but just who you are, and keep bringing you back to your reality. Sometimes it's just my mom who just see a certain change in the walk in one fine day, and no, she'll just be playing on her Sudoku in the newspaper, and she'll just be looking at me, staring at me, and she'll just be, "So theek hai, star ban gaya," and I'll be like, "Okay." So I just, it's also a lot to do with the people you're surrounded with, and just be focused on your work. That's it. I am the same Vicky Kaushal that I was. It's just, okay, they just like me for my performances in the past few films, so they, I'm getting all that love and affection, which I'm very grateful of. But I should just be, this is the time I know that I can't take things for granted.
Yeah, that's the biggest mistake people do. They lose focus on what it was that was working for them.
And also there's this beautiful poem called If by Rudyard Kipling.
Success and failure just the same.
Just the same. And there's this beautiful word. He's called success and failure as imposters, which is so true.
Yeah.
Which is so true, and if you learn how to treat both of them the same, that's the trick. So, and I treat I genuinely try to do that. Try to treat success, or the times when I was genuinely just knocking around doors and just trying to meet people and asking for work.
But aren't those just such great times when you look back at them? Or do you find that...
It scares me.
Oh, it does?
Yeah, it does. It does. It makes me value my present even more. Because that time, actually, it was fun. When I was doing that,
yeah, when you're doing that, you're just free.
Grind,
and
you're just free, you're fearless, you're just like,
you're fearless because there's nothing to lose. You
there's
have nothing
to
there
lose,
to lose. That's
and you're just doing it for the love of what you want to do. And now it just, when you look back at it, it just makes you value this time even more, and that's why you just don't end up taking it for granted.
I like what you said about your mom. I think she sounds like she's a very wise woman, and she checks you out and says, got my eye on you. That's important.
Okay, I'll pick up a question for you. Play.
Karan Johar recently declared that it's the age of the actor and not the age of the star anymore. You've been a star for more than a decade. What is your response to that?
I think it's always been the age of the actor. I think there is no such thing as a generic star. I genuinely feel that. No, I don't believe it's possible for any actor in the public persona to sustain for a very long period of time the public's interest unless they have been able to hold them by the craft that they are doing.
Right.
Earlier, it was just you and your movies. The audience didn't see you on platforms. They saw you on Friday in the cinema.
Absolutely.
And that was, for me, the majority it's been that way for the majority of the films that I've done. Everyone values their time, and everyone, kind of wants to come. They come to the cinema to be engaged or entertained or to feel a certain way. So if what you're doing is holding them, then that means that they are connecting to something that you're saying. I think probably the best way for me to put it is, beyond the points, a little bit like what you said, I don't really take it all too seriously.
Right.
I don't sit here and open a book and say, okay, now this is the age of the actor, and now people are doing these kind of roles, and now people are doing these kind of roles, and in the last X years, this is what I've done, and am I more of a popular star, or am I more of this, or am I...
Right.
I don't bifurcate it like that.
Yeah.
It's not my job to tell you what I am.
Right.
It's your job to see me and
what
decide
I see
what I do for you.
Correct.
I think that you just can't take all the responsibility, the credit, the pressure, the acknowledgement, and think that it's all us that are doing it. So I don't get too particular into which tag and who's this star and who's a superstar, and at one point you're a superstar and now it's the age of this person, and oh my God, what will we do and where will, like I don't get into that. I just try and remain, like, I think for you, you said it's your family that keep you grounded and you have those people around you who tell you that. I try and just keep coming back to where's my center and what's true for me, however I find that center for me, and see what is exciting to me at this point. There was a kind of a phase recently where I realized that in a particular genre, I was not happy when I was there anymore. And it was a space that I had done for a long time. And all of a sudden, I just kind of had this really overwhelming feeling that this particular kind of, projection, which is required for this genre, was not exciting to me anymore. And simply as basic as the fact that I've done it. I've done it now.
Right.
So now, for me, the only thing I'm trying to do is look for things that excite me.
Right.
After a certain amount of time, you've also done, and you've seen many of the beats.
Right.
You've seen all the beats that are there. So now what's going to challenge you? And for me, I realized right now, I think it's the places where I feel that I'm learning something.
Wow.
Where I feel that I'm learning something new. Either the director is teaching me, or even if the director is just the person capturing it, it's the people I'm trying to gather around me who are working with me. Do they have something I can learn? Can they teach me something new? So that, for me, is how I've made this chapter in my life exciting for me, is by trying to see where can I change things up, where can I make it new for myself. And I feel if it's new for me and interesting for me, then the audience will continue with you on that journey.
How was it for you to kind of gauge that? Because that shift from knocking doors to this literally superstar that you became, and just that shift, how was that for you?
It's because it was so gradual, I think. It's exactly what you said. And there are a lot of people who are in our industry, who are my colleagues, that came in around the same time as me. And they came with that one big, grand launch film. And all the magazines said, you know, next big thing, this thing. And you have those people. But for me, it wasn't like that. It was one smaller role in a film, then one small thing, then this, then that. For me, though, I do remember the first time that I had gotten like a lot of, you know, when you notice that people are speaking a lot of acknowledgement or praise about something, was a film called Namaste London.
Yes.
That was the first time that I think I felt that, oh, you know, oh, this is fun, this is nice. Of course, before that, there was some song which was very funny, but it became popular at that time, called Just Chill. So that song was popular.
You know, you talking about your songs reminds me of something. I was in an acting institute. This was back in 2009, second half of 2009. And one of our exercises was to look into the camera and dance on, as in like we had to express it to the camera and dance on Teri Aur.
Look into the camera.
And be all, Teri Aur, Teri Aur.
Okay, so you're supposed to take the vibe of the song. And the camera's the girl, obviously.
Yeah,
it's not like
girl,
some
so that's
role
the POV
play.
of the girl, and then you have to act it out. So you talking about your songs just reminded me of that, because I have done that to a camera in that acting institute.
Okay, this is really funny. I'm just imagining all these poor students in that camera and following them. And what if the guy is obviously portraying Akshay's part, and the camera's the girl?
No, it was your interpretation or whatever you feel like doing.
It was your interpretation of the song.
It was also being.
This is very interesting.
Being just free, just it was like a movement thing,
It
and
was
also
like a
just
movement class.
Yeah, just like.
So basically,
express.
one could say that in a small way, I've had a fairly large hand in helping you craft your skill.
I'm so thrilled to be
know
sitting
that.
with my guru over here today.
Oh no. Okay. Let's see what we should not play for you.
Okay.
I'm going to take a guess and say
Hey
something.
Vicky, this is Abhishek.
Hey.
I just want to ask you, very interested to know that as actors, there's always one or several genres that really terrify us, that we feel that we can't do justice to, but still we want to kind of like tick it off our bucket list. Keeping in mind the variety of work that you do and you continue to do, I really want to know is, do you have that one genre that really scares you? And if it is something that really terrifies you, is your approach to it that you want to do it and conquer it, or do you just stay away from it? So as a co-artist and as a big fan of yours, I really want to know, what is that one genre that scares you?
I'm actually currently shooting for a film which is in the horror genre. Before this, comedy was the genre that used to really scare me, because I feel, comedy is that one sur. Either you get it right or you're completely off it. But horror is, I think, the trickiest genre to play with, which I didn't know, which I'm learning as I'm shooting for this film. Because when you're doing an emotional scene or a dramatic scene, you know that you've hit an honest note somewhere down the line. In comedy also you feel that. Either you've missed it or you've hit that note. But in horror, you always play acting. Yeah. You always play acting and you're always imagining. Okay, this is the ghost, or this is what we have to imagine, and there's going to be a team of VFX which is actually going to create what you gave that reaction to. And then there's movement, and then you have to create your own world. And all those elements are coming into play. So this is something that I was not prepared for. That, okay, it's always going to be that play act. I'm always going to know that I'm going to give this scare moment. I'm always going to know that I am walking normally, and then there's going to be a sudden sound at the back to which I have to react, which didn't actually happen, which I have to imagine and take that cue myself and then do that. And then also imagine the intensity of it. That could be created later, but that intensity might not match the intensity that I had kept in my head. So all of that is a very tricky space. So I really would want to explore it soon ahead. Not immediately, but soon ahead, and then use this experience of mine into that and then take it forward. So I guess it's horror now.
Yeah, I do agree that sounds like the toughest genre ever.
I'm going to pick up self. Okay.
In the last 2 years, you've emerged as a mature and confident individual who can hit it out of the park with a role like Babita Kumari in Zero. What enabled you to reach this place?
I think what life brings to you, what life throws at you, pretty much everything that I imagined could not happen, happened. You know, all the things that you imagine, this should not happen, this should not happen. The things you try and guard and protect and keep, those were all the things that I was trying to focus on so much and protecting and keeping were all the things that disintegrated or, you know, did not work out or went away. And then I think it's that moment where you kind of are faced with everything you feared and you realize that it's not so bad. It's like it's like
you had overhyped in your own
yeah,
head.
I think that's what fear is, right? Fear is mostly just an illusion. It's never really, unless the actual ghost in your horror film comes in front of you, it's never really that the thing that you fear is that bad.
Yeah.
Sometimes you don't realize it at all until later, and then you realize before you know it, you're in this whole kind of structure of something, and it's not purely just creative, and it's not purely just your work. It's kind of all convoluted, and then when that kind of disintegrates, then you kind of come back to, after the unsettling phase, you come back to a place then again of feeling really fearless and not having so many kind of rules for yourself and so many things that you're living under. And I think with that kind of came for me a kind of a renewed interest and excitement in what I was doing at my work. Because I think for me, I went through a phase of, it's kind of like what you said, where I feel that when you're on set and when you're working, it consumes everything of you. I think there's very, very little left for anything and anyone else. And if you don't really have everything to give, then I think you're going to be weak in those films or in that period of time. So I think just trying to find, where is it that you feel that, oh, this is a place where I feel good about myself and I feel good being here.
But did that happen while you were playing Babita, or did that happen before and then you got into Babita?
For that particular role, I think Anand Rai was super. For Zero, he was always sure he wanted me to do that. Like, he came to me about 2.5 years before the film started.
Wow.
And so at that point, I was supposed to do both the roles.
Oh, okay.
It was a double role. And when he came back to me, I was like, Anand, sir, you took away half my role. So we were like at loggerheads for a while, like, you know, in the nicest possible way. I was like, Anand, sir, no, this. And he explained me his vision. He explained to me the way his vision had kind of changed. And of course, I think he's one of the best directors we have. And he was so clear and precise, you know, that he was like, you're going to find it if you just, you know, if you just submit yourself to this process.
Surrender completely.
You're going to find it. It was a really hard process, though, because when you're coming on set and you're supposed to be drunk and brokenhearted and really distraught at a really low, you're vulnerable, you're at a loss, you feel very unhappy, and you don't have that, you know, your self-esteem is not on the highest thing, and you're drunk. And I didn't want that to look fake. And you can't really fake that. I mean, it's tough. It's tough if you're just going to completely just be out there to kind of switch it on and off.
Right.
So when we used to come on set, there used to be like an hour and a half that me and Anand sir would just sit and talk.
Wow.
Sometimes it was about something related to what we were doing. Sometimes it wasn't. But he always knew, you know, that's the brilliance of a good director.
What nerve to touch.
Yeah. He always knew which road to kind of push me down, like kind of gently, and then kind of just let it play out. The only tough thing was, because of the CG, there was long periods between each shot. So let's say, you know, they're doing, say, even from a mid to a profile, sometimes that could be like hours. I think out of everything I've done recently, that was something which really excited me. Like, it was really fun to do that.
Do you think also because it became like kind of an outlet for you to express what you have inside, to just do it through a character? Because that sometimes happens with me, and I really like juice it out, because I just have this garb of playing a character, but I really want to like...
For me now, I've kind of understood it in a different way now, which perhaps I kind of had a different way of approaching things earlier. But now I feel that whatever it is, I personalize it in a very, very real way to me on my level. So it doesn't matter if something is sad, how is it sad to me personally from that lens. But I also just like the freedom. I like the freedom that he wanted. I like that incorrectness of everything. I just like that thing of, because also you're drunk, it also just allowed you to kind of just not have to do everything the right way. And that was,
Yeah, be imperfect.
yeah, that for me was just the most liberating experience.
Yeah.
That was the word I was looking for.
Yeah.
So now I'm going to pick one of these for you. This one is industry.
Okay.
What have you learned about things one shouldn't do from the artists around you?
That's a great one.
Firstly, it's taking yourself as an actor too seriously and creating like this atmosphere that, oh my God, there's this serious actor on set who needs like, you know, this kind of this isolated space on set, which actually kind of is a disruption to people around him or her doing their own jobs on set. You know, sometimes, I mean, you also have to take this into consideration that it's not only you who's making this film. It's a team of 200 people coming together and making this film.
Yeah.
It could be that light man sitting in that one corner at 20 feet height in that room. Also, because of worked with amazing actors, Ranbir, Alia, Sanjay Mishra ji, and they are so good with their lines, man. They are so good with their lines. I mean, that's what I've realized, that the magic that happens, that when you're just so prepared with your lines on set, that's amazing. So I guess, yeah, these two that are coming to my mind right now.
What's the question, things you learned that you should not do?
Yeah, should not do. So I shouldn't be ill-prepared with my lines when I come on set. Like that's what I meant, yeah.
But I wouldn't think that you're ill-prepared. I wouldn't think you've ever come on set without really knowing your script like backwards.
Yeah, but see, as an actor, what I tend to do is also, I don't really mug up my lines in terms of exact words of those lines. What I do is, I try to mug up the thought process of the character. Why is it that he's saying this line and then he shifts to that line? So if I know the thought, I will never forget the line. And even if that helps me improvise also, because I know the thought. So it helps me say something from my end also. But sometimes that is not the requirement of the character, or not the space that that film is in. Like, for example, Razi was not that. Razi, in terms of that script, you had to say exactly the words that were written on the script. Because anything away from that would just change the soul of that character. You know, the space of that scene. So that's what I realized, yeah.
So I think that now that we, well, I think we got through. We did not too bad. We got through a fair amount. This is what's called the end tape. So I'm assuming that there's going to be like some sort of judgment of what we've done, maybe.
Thank you, Katrina and Vicky. It's been a pleasure to get to know you both a little better. We look forward to seeing you on screen.